Alright guys, welcome back to your boy Motorman Dan. Today, let's just jump into it. We got the crossbow, fast firing and long range physical attack with secondary stun ability. I use this weapon a lot. You guys know that. You watch me use it and I talk about it whenever I use it pretty frequently. So if you're new here, you may not know some of the stuff we'll talk about, but if you're not, you already know. Headshot enemies 100 times to get the unique upgrades, so that way you can get them. Headshot kills trigger explosion damaging enemies. It's a good one. I usually run it, but it's also good to bring this other one. Enemies stunned by secondary take increased damage. They're both really good. A little situational maybe, especially for the first one, but it's pretty good for cleaning up like runners. If you're headshotting a light orc or an ogre or something, especially when you pair it with the stun staff, it's easy to headshot. Whenever it dies, enemies around it take damage as if like they were electrified, for example, and it can kill runners, getting through. But we're going to use it in one very, very particular way, and I'll show you guys that here in a little bit. But the level upgrades are improves accuracy, and that's essentially it. All right, let's jump into the game files. So we have the headshot explosion damage and radius, which we see is headshot kills trigger explosion damaging enemies. That's what this is in reference to. So we have 12.5 damage and the radius is 450, 3 squares. We have the secondary status effect 1 duration, which would be the crossbow stun. Then we have some flinch going on, which is like a small stutter for enemies moving or attacking. Then we have secondary status effect 3 seconds, which is the stun. Primary damage is 14 per hit. Secondary mana cost costs 25 mana. Into the weapon protos, we have 0.1667 attack, which is 5.99 attacks per second. Then we have regular headshot modifier. And then we have this bloom stuff. Now, this bloom stuff we're going to get into, but as you hold down the mouse button, the bloom expands, which is like your reticle, if that's a term that you're familiar with, essentially making it less and less accurate the more you hold it down. This weapon has a zoom function, which we'll check out as well. Now, this is going to be modified by the level upgrades, but I just wanted to bring this up. It's kind of weird. I don't really know exactly what it modifies other than the primary bloom contribution. That one it does, but I don't know, maybe the angle or something, maybe a mixture of all these, I don't know. In the status effect protos, we have the crossbow stun, which is referenced a lot in a lot of these, a lot of the things that stun use the crossbow stun. And essentially all it is a stun for 3 seconds. That's it. That's all it is. However, there's also this other unique upgrade, which is enemies stunned by secondary take increased damage. And that's what this is right here. This is 3 seconds as well, but physical, lightning, ice, fire, arcane, and acid all take 1.15 extra damage. So it's a 15% bonus damage when they're stunned with the crossbow stun. Which you can pair that with, like, for example, the wall blades. When it does damage to enemies that are stunned, it does double damage. And so you pair the both of them together, and now you have even more damage. Why not? Wow. And of course, it just works really well for anything, to include using your headshots. So one of the things I like to do is I like to stun them with the crossbow with that upgrade. And then I stone staff so I can get headshots, and I just sit there and pummel them with headshots, especially if you bring ice. If you have ice, you have the stone staff and the crossbow with this upgrade stunned. That's a 30, 30, 15%. You could throw an alk satchel on top of that and even go another 50%. And then all of a sudden, your crossbow headshot, single target is just absolutely owning. But I would never actually bring the alchemist satchel in a serious game ever. Okay, now let's jump into the upgrades. So here we have the level 2 upgrade. And this is what I mean. The maximum radius is minus 0.4. And you have the bloom contribution minus 0.01. Now if we go over here, we see the bloom contribution is already 0.15. So that takes it down to 0.14. And then 3, then 2. But the other one, I'm not exactly sure what that modifies. The maximum radius. It could be this one, the headshot radius. Not too sure, but anyways, yeah. So there you go. It goes down again, and it goes down again. These numbers are found in the wiki here, and so from whatever that is, whatever it is. But then you also have the 0.12 for the bloom. Okay. Then we have the unique upgrades. So we have headshot kills trigger explosion damage on enemies. That's true. So like I said, it uses this. Once that's true, it uses that, which is the explosion damage and explosion radius. And then we have the other one, which is enemies stunned by secondary take increased damage. This gives you the Crossbow Uni 3, which is what we saw here, Crossbow Uni 3. And that is for the extra damage. But there's another hidden or unused upgrade, and that is that the stunned enemies are electrified. Now that would be pretty cool to see, actually. You stun an enemy, they're all electrified, you hit one, and then it dies doing a little bit of chain reaction. Yeah, pretty cool idea. And it kind of plays along the idea that the crossbow is electric anyways. I don't know, maybe this headshot kill trigger explosion damaging enemies is kind of along the same route of electrification. Who knows? But let's jump into the best use scenario of the crossbow, in my opinion. Alright guys, this is where I really like the crossbow, is specifically against fire lords and fire elementals. If you can snag them outside of whatever you're doing, it's really, really good. If you kill them with the headshot with the explosion damage upgrade on normal maps. So here's what it looks like. Okay, hang on. Just one headshot. Boom. Look at that. All of those guys, if that didn't happen... Hang on, let me get rid of these other guys here. If that didn't happen, let's say I just hit him down there, all of those 4 guys here, they would all show up. But because I was able to do the headshot kill, it did the explosion on the firelings as they popped out. And firelings only have 10 HP, and it does 12.5, so it's going to insta-kill them no matter what. I think that's super, super useful. That's one of the reasons I run it, is because of those guys. You could just kind of, pull them outside your kill box and then just, stone staff headshot them. It's pretty quick. And it's clean, nothing's left over. You don't have to chase up anything. You don't use any extra mana. If you use like an ice amulet or a stone staff or a chain lightning stun, if you're using up mana on the entity that's larger, like in the case of earth lords or earth elementals or whatever, and fire lords and fire elementals, whoever they spawn underneath is not going to be affected by whatever status effect was just applied. And so it saves a little bit of mana as well from not having to recast Stone Staff, for example, as you would possibly with using another weapon. And so that's one of the reasons I really, really like it. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the bloom and some things you can do with it. So if I press and hold down with the middle or with the left mouse button, this is the bloom. This is the bloom with all the level upgrades. It gets worse if you don't use this. It's not very accurate, but it's something, If you want to reset it, you can let go of the mouse, and then you can press and hold it again. However, there's a trick. Because, see, this is about as fast as I can go with what I'm about to show you. You can switch to another weapon, right mouse button, but when you come back over, I'm going to do that really quickly. You can see that my bloom is still large. However, if I use the right mouse or the left mouse button, sorry, if I use the left mouse button, my primary attack, with another weapon, doesn't matter what weapon, and I switch back to the crossbow, it resets the bloom. So oftentimes I may do this to get headshots, to land headshots. So that is holding it down, then I go to my secondary, right mouse button, primary, I'm still firing, and then I do a secondary auto attack real quick to reset my bloom. So that's a trick that you could use for anything that has a bloom that increases as well. Anything that does that, you can use it for all of them. You just switch between other weapons. It doesn't have to be the stone staff. It can be any other weapon. Literally anything. Okay. The other thing I want to show you is the zoom. So there is a zoom function. This is going to limit your attack speed, but it's also going to limit your bloom. And this is with the middle mouse wheel on computer by default, but you can change that in the settings. And this allows you to land headshots from afar. So if you have some kind of freeze going on in the kill box, you can set out there and you can do this. Pretty good for flyers as well, I got to admit. And this is like one of 3 weapons that has this option. Is a crossbow. Okay. Guys, if you learned anything, don't forget to leave a like. If you use this weapon any differently than I do, which I use it, like I said, I use it a lot. I really do enjoy it. It's just good. But if you got any ideas on how it could be improved, if it's too good, should it be nerfed, any thoughts that you have, of course, leave them in the comments below. And if you're curious about it, feel free to check out the comments if there are any with information about the crossbow. Let me know what you think. And as always, guys, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow, stream with YouTube and Twitch. And I will see you on the flip side. Deuces.